Notice this. There's something that's been operating in your life, even when you're not aware of it. Something silent, invisible, yet incredibly powerful. It's like an invisible contract you signed, without even knowing. And this contract has a name. It's called the law of expectation. Maybe this is the most overlooked, and at the same time, the most powerful secret. The one that separates those stuck in stagnation from those living in transformation. Tracy, one of the greatest masters of the human mind, revealed this with a quote that, if you allow it, could completely change the way you see life. You never rise above your own expectations. And this isn't just a pretty quote. It's a law, a spiritual law, an emotional law, a neurological law, a law that silently governs every aspect of your existence. Now, take an honest look at your life. If you really pay attention, isn't it true that what you're living today somehow looks exactly like what, deep down, you've always expected? And I'm not talking about what you consciously want. I'm talking about what your body, your subconscious, your spiritual vibration has actually learned to expect. And right here lies a deep key that very few have truly understood. Your prayers, your visualizations, your affirmations, they hold no real power if your body vibrates more in the frequency of doubt than in faith. It's uncomfortable to hear this, I know, but it's also liberating. Dr. Joe Dispenza explains it in a direct and powerful way. The body becomes the unconscious mind. When an emotion becomes familiar, it turns into a state of being. And you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. This means wanting isn't enough, repeating isn't enough, wishing isn't enough. You have to align. Because if your mind, your body, and your spirit are not in sync, your expectation turns into a block, not a bridge. And that's exactly why so many people pray, declare, affirm, and yet stay stuck in the same life. Because they pray with their mouths, but vibrate with fear. They declare with their minds, but feel insecure. They visualize success, but deep down, expect failure. And maybe this is the real reason why your life, until now, hasn't moved forward at the speed you've hoped for. It's not because God doesn't want it. It's not because the universe is against you. It's because you didn't know. There's a code, a key, that opens doors in the invisible, and that key is called aligned expectation. And from this moment on, we're going to uncover this together. You're going to finally understand, once and for all, why believing works when it works, and why, so often, it doesn't. And more than just understanding, you're going to learn how to align your mind, your spirit, and your body so that your expectation is no longer a burden, but a real bridge between faith and manifestation. Allow yourself, open yourself, because, honestly, what you're about to hear could not only shatter years of self-deception, but also open doors that were never closed because God didn't want them open, but simply because you didn't know how to expect the right way. What almost no one realizes is that there's a mistake, silent, subtle, and devastating, that operates deep in the minds of millions of people every single day. A mistake that perfectly explains why so many good people, people of faith, who pray, who seek, who work hard, still end up stuck in cycles of frustration, stagnation, and pain. And this mistake has a name most people would never suspect. It's called disconnected expectation. And here's a truth you've probably never heard before. But once you truly understand it, it changes absolutely everything. Expectation doesn't live in your mouth. It lives in your nervous system. It doesn't live in the words you say. It lives in what your body has learned, in what your brain has coded as truth, and in what, silently, you communicate to the spiritual world without even realizing it. Neuroscience explains this clearly through a concept called the predictive model. Your brain doesn't just react to what happens in the present. It's constantly trying to predict what's going to happen. And these predictions don't come from what you want. They come from your emotional memories, your traumas, your experiences, and the emotions that became familiar to you. If, deep down, you've learned to expect rejection, failure, pain, or scarcity, then, without realizing it, your brain, your body, your vibration, even your posture, start aligning precisely to confirm that prediction. And this isn't just psychology. This is applied spirituality. This is the Bible, alive. When Job said, "What I feared has come upon me, what I dreaded has happened to me," he wasn't writing poetry. He was revealing the silent operation of the law of expectation. Now, take a deep breath and allow yourself to reflect with brutal honesty. How many times have you said with your mouth, "I believe"? How many times have you prayed, declared, visualized, truly believing you were activating a miracle? But deep down, there was that silent voice, that discomfort, that feeling that maybe it wasn't meant for you. And then, without even noticing, you started to sabotage yourself, rejecting opportunities, pushing away the blessings you yourself were asking for. Dr. Joe Dispenza sums it up in a way that hits hard. Thinking one thing and feeling another is being in a state of incoherence, and where there is incoherence, there is no creation. You pray for abundance, but vibrate scarcity. You declare healing, but feel fear. You visualize prosperity, but deep down, expect everything to fall apart. And here it is, one of the most uncomfortable, yet most liberating truths you'll ever hear in your life. Expectation isn't a speech. Expectation is an internal state. It lives in your biochemistry, in your posture, in your tone of voice, in your energy field, in your silent relationship with God and with the world. And maybe this is the deepest reason why so many good, honest, loving, faithful people stay trapped in frustration, because without realizing it, they're praying with their mouths, but silently signing invisible contracts of scarcity, pain, and stagnation through what their bodies and their emotions actually expect. And now, honestly, the question that won't go away is this: what, deep down, is your body truly expecting, even when your mouth says that you believe? So, take a deep breath and allow yourself to dive even deeper into this truth a truth with the power to completely reorganize your life, from the inside out. There's a spiritual reality that operates whether you're aware of it or not. A silent reality, invisible, but absolutely real. Expectation is an invisible agreement that you make with the spiritual world. Yes, every recurring thought, every sustained emotion, every sensation you carry in your body is a prayer. A silent prayer. A prayer that doesn't need words, because it's made through your vibration, your inner state, your frequency. And maybe you've never realized this, but the Bible handed you this key over 2,000 years ago when Jesus said, "According to your faith, let it be done to you." Matthew 9:29. This isn't poetry. It's not a metaphor. It's not just a beautiful illustration. It's a spiritual law, a law that governs everything. Because faith isn't just believing that something is possible. Faith is expecting, as if you already know, it's done in the Spirit. And this is where the big trap lies, because so many people pray with their mouths, but in their spirit, in their subconscious, in their bodies, they're actually expecting the exact opposite. They pray for healing, but emotionally, they've already said goodbye to their own health. They pray for prosperity, but deep down, they expect more scarcity. They pray for transformation, but deep inside, they carry a silent belief that nothing ever changes, that it's not for them, that it doesn't work. And the most painful realization is, it's not that God doesn't want it for you. It's not that the universe is against you. It's that your inner spiritual agreement isn't aligned with what your mouth is asking for. Because in the kingdom of God, it's not the speech that activates, it's your state of being. If your internal expectation is pain, failure, or lack, then it's as if, without even realizing, you're releasing a password into the invisible. A password that says, "I authorize more of this in my life." Because expectation works like this. It either opens or closes doors. It either activates blessings or keeps cycles of pain running endlessly. And maybe now you're starting to understand why so often it feels like God is silent, why it seems like nothing's moving, why things just won't shift. It's not because you're not loved. It's not because you're unworthy. It's not because God forgot about you. It's because your spirit, your body, and your mind are unknowingly sending out a vibrational signature that completely contradicts what you're praying for. And once again, the Bible, with piercing clarity, confirms this when it says, "But let him ask in faith, without doubting, for the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea, blown and tossed by the wind. That person should not expect to receive anything from the Lord." James chapter 1, verses 6-7. This isn't punishment. It's not judgment. It's law, a law that governs both heaven and earth. And now, standing in front of this truth, comes the question you can no longer ignore. If today, right now, your life was an exact reflection of what you've been expecting, what would it look like? Would it look like abundance or scarcity? Healing or sickness? Expansion or limitation? Progress or stagnation?
And if that question hurts, know this: it's not here to condemn you. It's here to set you free, because if you've realized that your expectation was out of alignment, if you've realized that unknowingly you've been sending out a spiritual password of fear, of lack, of pain, this isn't the end. This is the beginning of a new life, because from this day forward, you understand that expectation isn't just wishing. Expectation is spiritual. Expectation is neural. Expectation is emotional. Expectation is faith in the form of invisible action. And when you truly grasp this, something reorganizes within you. Something aligns. Something unlocks. And from that alignment, doors begin to open. In time, in space, in the spiritual realm, and consequently, in the physical world. So, from now on, there's only one question that shifts. What am I going to start expecting today forward? Because when your words, your body, and your belief are fully aligned, the invisible moves, the spiritual realm responds, and the natural world has no choice but to